Hello, I'm Beatrice. I'm the author of The Sleeping Stones, which is published by Firefly Press and is out on the 2nd of February 2023. The Sleeping Stones is a fantasy adventure for ages 8+, set on an island off the coast of Wales where ancient legends are stirring. Griff has lived on the island his whole life, but his family's farm is in money trouble and there's a chance that he might have to leave soon. Matilda has only just moved onto the island, but she has a really strong affinity with the sea. Together, they soon find themselves in a race against time to save their home from a supernatural, devastating storm. I'm going to do a short reading from the end of chapter 1. It is shearing day, and Guinevere the sheep has legged it out of the farmyard, along the beach and up onto the headland, and Griff has followed her. Griff glanced at Guinevere, busy grazing on a clump of pink thrift. She eyed him sideways, daring him to try any funny business. Griff smiled and looked back the way they had come, down the long, low, sandy beach towards the lush green sweep of Bottom Field and the grey stone of the farmhouse and barns. His eyes were drawn to the sleepers. No one could look along the beach and not find their gaze resting on those 6 stones, dark against the shining sea. They led out from the land, heading for the far horizon as though they were the stepping stones of giants. Griff imagined the journey out along them, the dangerous jump between each, leaping across choppy, white-flecked water, the triumphant arrival on the last stone, arms spread wide to catch the wind between his fingertips, nothing between him and the mainland. If his grandma, 9, were to be believed, no one could stop at the final stone. The sleepers would tempt you into one more leap, and the waves would close over your head, and the current would sweep you away. Stepping stones to the bottomless ocean. 9 would be cross with him for just imagining climbing out on them. A warm, rough nose knocked against his hand. Griff looked down and grinned. Guinevere had forgotten she was meant to be running away, and had come over to see if he had treats. "You're in luck," Griff said. From his hoodie pocket he pulled the stale crusts of bread he had grabbed from the bread bin that morning, guessing, rightly, that shearing day would require some sheep bribes. Guinevere gobbled one up and nosed for more. "Maybe," Griff said, "you'll get some more if you come back with me and take your coat off." He turned and began to walk back the way they had come, his hand held in a loose fist at his side. An empty fist, but tantalising to a hopeful sheep. Guinevere followed. As they left the headland, Griff glanced up at the sleepers again. They held his eyes. He paused and watched the swell surge around them. The sleepers are hungry, and the sea is waiting. Just an old line from an old story. But there were times when the temptation pulled as though he were connected to the stones by a thread, when they seemed to hold his gaze far stronger, far longer. Guinevere bumped against him, impatient for more bread. He glanced down at her, then back up again. There was a figure standing on the final stone. Griff's heart thumped, hard. Tall and upright, the person stood there, just stood, arms at their sides, staring out to sea. A long coat, a cloak, flapped in the breeze behind them. Scudding clouds hid the sun, and grey light swept in from the water. The stale smell of seaweed round the base of the headland and the fresh tang of salt in the leaping spray seemed suddenly stronger. It caught in the back of Griff's throat and flicked across his tongue, tasting of hidden places under the water. No one could have had time to jump along the sleepers from the beach in the half-second when he'd glanced down at the sheep now nibbling his fingers. Griff blinked salt-dry eyes, and the stones were empty. Rounding the end of the island beyond them was a small yacht. The mast and sail were a tall, thin shape against the white-blue morning sky. He relaxed. Mystery solved. He'd seen the boat lined up with the stone and imagined a person. A trick of the light and the glittering sea. But as he led Guinevere back past the beach and through the farmyard, Griff found the sight still lingering in his mind, like the after-image from the flash of a camera. Something was wrong. He couldn't put his finger on what, but it was the same sort of feeling he got when Dad had been into Griff's bedroom to steal back the sellotape or return a book that had been lent to Prem. Tiny differences that told him someone had been in there, even if he couldn't work out exactly what had changed. Something was wrong about that after-image in his mind's eye. Something was not as it should be.